Welcome to everyone who is watching this at home on Facebook or on different media outlets. This is our first attempt to shoot some form of a podcast. We're calling it, what are we calling it, Weston? Lakeside Live Stream?
It's on LifeCast.
Lakeside LifeCast. There it is. And we're live here. You're not live there. And so we hope that you are safe and sound in your homes. We hope that you are healthy. Here's our issue. We recognize that probably a lot of you are like a lot of us, and that you're missing the people of your church. And we were wondering how we can get together in a way that kind of makes it feel like you're with us, and get together in kind of a way in which we can have discussions about things that are important to the life of Lakeside and important to our edification, kind of a Bible study of sorts, and have you somehow be a part of that even from home. And so I have gathered with me three very above average people here, slightly above average, I should probably say. And so all the way over here we have the Right Reverend Jim Blaha.
Greetings.
And we have James Pullen.
The right layman.
Yeah. The right layman.
Glad to be here, Tyson.
And our great friend Christie Bennet. And we're going to today have some discussions about a bunch of different issues in the life of Lakeside, a bunch of different issues, really following up on where we were, looking at God's sovereignty, looking at God's goodness in the midst of really this coronavirus epidemic. So the most important question that I think we need to start with today is, how would you describe your home's TP preparedness? Are y'all doing good at the Bennet house, Christie?
Yeah, we're doing great. So I got lucky. Went to the grocery store probably on the Thursday before all of this started, on maybe Friday or Saturday, and bought a 9-pack. So the Bennets are great.
A 9-pack? How long does that last?
Yeah, we're determining it's about a roll a week, so we're good.
Y'all don't live in my house.
There are only 2 of us, Tyson.
Jim, how about you? Basic TP preparedness?
We did pretty good. I have 2 nurse daughters, and they told us about a month ago.
They saw this coming?
They just said, their thing was they want mom and dad getting out and have to stand in long lines for gas or toilet paper or other stuff. They just said, when you go out, just pick up an extra one every other time you go out. And so we have plenty.
And I noticed that you were taking some out of the church bathroom.
That's right. Yeah. Every time I go up that case, it's got 2 or 3.
Hold on, I'm going to go.
That's right. It is important to note that our church got a whole lot of extra in case anybody needs some in the congregation.
Okay, in the congregation.
In the congregation.
We're not
We'll
visiting
do that.
friends of friends TP stuff.
That's right. Don't be trying to steal from
Membership
each other.
has its privileges, right?
That's it.
TP. James, I was at your house the other day. We were keeping a good, safe 6-foot bubble. And I was bringing you some tools, and I noticed that in your garage are stockpiles of TP.
Yes, Tyson, but we've started on what I consider the second part of the emergency supplies, so I'm kind of getting a little worried because we've got, plus we got all these kids coming to the house. You know, they're out of school, and all of a sudden everybody's at the house all of a sudden, so we're starting to get into our second phase of our emergency supplies, so it's got me a little bit worried. I'm a little nervous right now.
It is a little bit scary. One of the things that we've been seeing, I think, on Facebook and social media is this idea that everyone now is having to be reintroduced to their spouses and reintroduced to their family, spending a lot of time. How is everybody getting along, Christie, in your household now that you're having to kind of spend all this time with Dan?
Yeah, I think you didn't answer your TP preparedness.
Oh, TP,
though.
yeah.
You got to answer.
Accountability is good, Christie.
That's right.
It's good. We are good to go.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we've got all the bathrooms have some underneath the cabinet in there in case you need to restock locally, and then generally we have one big supply in case we need more.
Okay.
I'm not 8 weeks good, but I think I'm 3 weeks good. I think we're 3 weeks good.
I think what we're
A healthy
learning,
3 weeks.
Tyson, I think what we're learning, though, is there may be some hoarders at the other end of the table. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind.
I think I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very much so. So back to you and Dan. Your husband, Dan, have y'all been spending more time? Has your life changed a lot as a result of what's happening?
During the day, it's pretty status quo for the 2 of us. We have separate home offices. So I go upstairs, get up in the morning, go upstairs. Dan goes to the home office downstairs, and we work. We have lunch together every day, so that's been pretty nice to see them during lunch. I am having to prepare lunch
Yeah,
most
so are you
days.
cooking meals, or y'all doing sandwiches?
Yeah, well, we're doing some sandwiches. We're doing some leftovers. I'm a little over, or I'm about to be over preparing food, but I'm trying to, stay focused that this isn't going to last forever, and Dan will be ready to go out to eat as soon as this is all over. So, but then evenings, we're getting to spend a lot of time together, so it's been really nice. We've sat on the front porch and in the swings and waved to our neighbors and just had some real good times, spending time together.
That's awesome. James, how about you? You guys getting along at y'all's house? Have y'all found that you have a lot more time on your hands now?
Yeah, there's a lot more time. You're just, everybody's around. You're just kind of thinking that, what to do. And all the kids being out of school, school kind of gives you a routine. And we had, Janie at college, and then we had the twins. They were at school every day going through their routine. So now everybody's home. And then Jared was back home for a little bit. And so we had kind of a full house. And it was kind of nice to have everybody under one roof and, just moving along. The twins found a banana bread recipe on TikTok. And so they started making banana bread.
Have you ever made a TikTok video, James?
No, I've not made a TikTok video, but they are very popular.
Be great at TikTok dancing.
I think so. That'll be the next segment.
That's
That's the next segment will be me doing a TikTok.
Elders dancing TikTok
I like
video.
it.
Yeah.
There's some of our elders are going to have to do their research to find out what that means.
Yeah, exactly. So, but everything's good. But everybody's doing really good, getting along well. So, no complaints. A little bit different, though.
Amen. Jim, a lot of people around the church tend to ask, are there a lot of people who have needs that have come up in our church? I think everybody's saying, hey, is our population that is vulnerable, are they being taken care of? Or are we hearing a lot of needs just generally in the church for things like that?
Some, it's still pretty early on, and a lot of our people, they have like children and family to help them out, but some don't. And I'm surprised the number of people that have said, hey, listen, if anybody needs anything, I'll go get it. I've already contacted 2 or 3 people to, say so-and-so needs this, call them, and they've gone and done shopping runs for them. People I know people have gone out and helped people with their lawns a little bit and a few other things. And so actually, I think we're doing pretty good kind of having a feel for our people right now, who needs what. I don't know if this lasts a few weeks, whether, there'll be needs, might need a little more help with some of these things. But yeah. I think people have been very gracious and desiring to help each other. There's a lot of cross currents. The officers are trying to keep in touch with our membership. Certain teachers are keeping in good contact with their whole Sunday school. Certain committees, people are sort of also all touching base with their people. So that's a good thing. And just trying to see how folks are doing, and it's been good.
Yeah, I think you and I had talked earlier in the week about this idea that we almost have more people that want to help, mm-hmm. and that we have a bunch of people who probably would be considered in a vulnerable population,
yeah.
who aren't really good at asking for help, right?
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I was talking with somebody the other day. They said, Tyson, I know I probably shouldn't go to the grocery store, but I like doing my own shopping, right? And so in the midst of all that, what we want you to know, if you're listening to this and you're part of a vulnerable population, is, hey, let us do something for you. We would love to. We've got people who would love to do that kind of shopping for you. So please just call the church. You got the numbers. You can look it up online. And that's always going to be kind of forwarded to either Jim or I or our administrator, Naomi, and we can get you in touch with some people who can help you out with whatever your needs are, if it's shopping or if it's little small errands. One of the things that we'd hoped to get to in our time together today was to talk a little bit about our recent trip to Belize.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you who don't know, we've been, for about the last 4 years now, we made a 10-year commitment. We're 4 years into a 10-year commitment. And what's strange about this table is I realized everyone at this table has gone with Lakeside to Belize and worked in missions there so far. And we went on that mission trip. It was March 9th through the 14th, wasn't that?
Yeah,
we came back
spring
on
break.
a Saturday night during spring break, and the world changed while we were there.
Yeah, definitely. That's what was interesting was we only get Wi-Fi usually at nighttime. And so every night you'd come in and something big had happened. At first it was the NCAA tournament got canceled, then the NBA got canceled. So we were getting it like in drips. We didn't get really blasted, and people were hearing about the Dow doing these drastic drops, and people were kind of little bit uneasy because we kind of got it in bits and pieces at night, so it made everybody kind of a little bit on edge for a little bit.
I think the biggest concern that we had, and y'all can imagine what that would be like if you're there, is wondering, is there any chance we're going to get to Belize and not be able to get home, right? Because they were shutting down travel to Italy and certain places in Europe, and they had definitely shut down travel to China. And we just kind of kept watching the news just to make sure we could get back into the States. So for those who've been in the past or just those who are watching in our community at home, why don't you talk a little bit about what happened on this year's trip and kind of the feel and what we did?
Well, we're working on, we have several projects that we're working on, and what's interesting is we have some, like I said, some wonderful partners, and we're seeing, I think gradual improvements being made, and we're able to contribute. Dino and Melissa Roseland, who operate Samuel Sanctuary, and they kind of work a lot with the school, and we're seeing gradual improvements. The feeding program is increasing, and this is a feeding program. The free lunch that's provided to the students at St. Margaret's, they can't afford it. It's actually provided through Dino Roseland's ministry, and they basically feed children who just don't have enough to eat. And so during lunchtime, they're served a meal. So we got that going.
It's hard to critique feeding hungry children, isn't it? That's kind of one of those things where it's hard to throw rocks at that kind of ministry. It just feels like that's a great place to help in the world with hungry, starving kids.
Exactly, and one of the things that they have going on, and we're kind of was working on those greenhouses behind the school. Yeah. And we had some members of our team were working on those greenhouses, getting them going. We went to a nursery in Springfield, Belize, which is kind of a Mennonite community, and we got pepper plants and some fruit trees. And now it's going to take the fruit trees a while to come in, but that's eventually going to subsidize the lunch program there. And it's also but the peppers and some of the fresh vegetables are going to start helping right away.
What did a fruit tree cost in Belize?
A fruit tree costs $5 US.
Wow.
So,
and there's plenty of room back there.
Yeah, there's plenty of room.
We can go straight orchard with it.
Yeah, and that's what we're thinking for the future is we might want to build an orchard, kind of on that land behind there, behind the school, and get some different, maybe some varieties of trees. And Mr. Reyes is working in the program there. Elias Perez actually has a degree in agriculture. He has
really?
2 degrees, and
wow.
So he's looking at that. And I think there are a lot of things that just are coming along. We're working on the pavilion there, and we're kind of contributing to that. And that's going to allow them to have assemblies. Because while we were there, they had an assembly. They dedicated the well. The school has a new well, and that was a big deal. And so they've got fresh water now for the kids. And
that was a big deal. They were getting sick?
Yeah, kids were getting sick from drinking the water. The village has always had a water problem, and now they have a well exclusively dedicated for the school. So the children, who are usually most vulnerable, they get clean drinking water. So we're very excited about that. And then
so
they
James, not to interrupt you,
Yeah,
but
no, go ahead.
didn't Lakeside have a big part in the well? What part did we play in maybe helping them?
Well, yeah, we've contributed. What we did is we contribute to the projects, and then what we did last year was we kind of worked on a water tower, and so we worked on the bathrooms, and that will allow the clean water to kind of flow into where we are. So we did kind of the infrastructure last year, and then someone kind of followed up behind us and drilled the well, and so it starts pumping water into the water tower behind the school, and that we got to work on. So we've been kind of a part of that project, and that's what's kind of really cool about going down there is you see the continued improvements that get made. It's not like you come back and you're disappointed things haven't been followed through on it with. We see kind of continued improvement, and we're just able to walk along beside some incredible people. It's not us going down there and solving problems. We're just kind of down there to help out. And I get inspired as much by them as they, inspire. They inspire me because I meet a lot of people in Belize. Like Dino, Melissa Roseland, Patty and Elias Perez, Mark and Shrai Somerville, Paul Casanova, and you meet people who could do anything they want to do, and they choose every morning. They make a conscious choice to get up and work with some of the most vulnerable people they can. And that's very, it's just very heartwarming. I mean, a lot of times I choose my personal comfort over helping others. You know, I mean, it's just a natural place I think we all go to. And to see someone who says, you know, I'm going to choose to love other people. I'm going to put others' needs above my own. And that's one of the things I kind of get out of Belize.
Most of the time when I have people who've been to Belize and they get back, there is a sense of what it does for us is it changes our perspective of what we have in life. Like when you really experience people who don't have clean children, who don't have food or clean drinking water, and to get water it makes them sick, and you come back home to your home, all of a sudden whatever little ratty carpet that you have in the corner isn't that big a deal anymore. You know?
Well, I've thought about that a lot over the past 2 weeks because in light of our current circumstances, I may not be able to go to the grocery store and get exactly what I want. But I can go to the grocery store and get plenty of food. And I think back to the people in Belize and just that they're not doing that. They're eating a lot of rice and beans like we joke about. And, you know, we want certain things, these first world problems, and we've dealt with several of those over the past 10 days, I'm sure. So it just made me think back to Belize and that sweet little boy who sat beside me and couldn't wait to get more rice and beans.
Y'all didn't do Gomer House at all this time?
No, we didn't work at Gomer House. They're, you know, in the process of working there. And, you know, and that's another person, you know, that, you know, I just see her as someone who is just constant, you know, she's just Diana Shaw just chooses to serve.
She is.
And, you know, and like I was saying, you know, people who, you know, her with a law degree, you know, all these people are, you know, highly educated people that could do anything they want to do, and yet they choose, you know, who am I going to serve today?
Why don't you tell everybody listening at home a little bit about the Child Development Foundation and Diana Shaw's work in Belize?
Yeah. Well, she is basically someone who just was in Belize and basically just saw a need that there was a lot of abuse of children, and she saw that that was something that, you know, really wanted to tackle head on. She couldn't believe, I think, the way some of the children were being treated at home. And I mean, the same things we have in the United States, but, you know, just on a scale in Belize that she just felt like needed to be addressed. And so she decided to use her law degree to basically lobby for behalf of children. A lot of times children were put in very vulnerable situations, young girls, families that get desperate in desperate situations with food issues and everything will sometimes use children as currency. And that's very shocking for us, but, you know, people who get desperate do desperate things. And she's tried to kind of take on that battle of, you know, helping these children, these very vulnerable children, giving them protection, you know, Child Development Foundation, allowing these children to develop and become the adults they, you know, not have their childhood robbed from them.
Yeah. She's great. We've had the opportunity to work on their offices. A lot of people from Lakeside have gone out there to do construction in the past, and we hope to be able to go back there and do some construction in the future. A lot of the big problems they were waiting on some funding. Lakeside isn't able to fully fund all the projects we want to do there. They're going to have to take money from outside our community to kind of fully complete those projects, and there's some delay in raising those funds. It seems like there's a lot going on in Belize, and this team did really well. I worked harder than I like to work. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not bred for hard work. I'm bred to talk and be sarcastic.
Yeah.
But what they had me doing in Belize, so we showed up and there were these 36 by 36 by 36 inch deep holes where they were going to build this pavilion. And so they were going to have these big concrete posts that come out, and we had to fill them with concrete. And so the way that they made concrete in Belize was they had a couple bags of concrete, and then the guy with the tractor comes by. He's got this rickety, it's probably really nice for him, I don't mean to be insulting. It was a trailer that we all jumped onto and tried not to die. As they went past these really like bumpy roads for 45 minutes hanging onto a metal trailer, they find a river somewhere, and they go, look, there's sand. We need about 2 trailer loads full of sand. And we would get out and shovel sand into the trailer. And then we would go back to the school, we would unload the sand, and they'd say, you know what we need now? We need small stones. And so we'd go by a little bit later, and we would get pebbles, and we'd get them out of a river somewhere. And then they would go and come back, put them at school, and they said, you know what we need now? And this was the worst trip. They said, we need boulders.
Yeah.
Did you go on that trip?
Yeah.
And
I went on the boulder one.
And so we go, and we just start picking up rocks about this big, and doing this, throwing them into the thing until we filled up. And I appreciate that they're making their funds go a long way, but that is hard work.
Yeah, they make do. And, one of the things that's interesting is the people, you'll meet some of the most hardworking people you ever want to meet.
Pastor Modesto.
Yeah, Pastor
He
Modesto.
worked us into the ground.
Yeah, in a matter of hours, he can usually put me down. And
Impressive.
it's
Was there another
amazing.
group coming afterwards, or is this it until we come back?
There was a group working simultaneous to us.
Yeah.
And I think part of the trouble, Jim, that I think they're running into is this coronavirus stuff. And they're just having cancellation after cancellation after cancellation. Every mission organization we were there, people were saying, listen, we're not coming. And probably at this point, Belize is pleased because when they look out, I think they see us as infected America the way we would not want China, the China traffic or the Italy traffic at that point. Even when we left, there were some people there that were sick, and they were going, hey, were you guys sick? How did we come by this? So I'm sure they're pleased that some of that's happening, but they're going to have to regain momentum. Missions is just one of the many things that's going to be disrupted in all this.
Yeah, I've already started getting some communications from some of our missionaries, and you can see they're already looking on the horizon a little bit, and they're saying, okay, church is letting them know the monies aren't there, and that dries up. And something we would never want to do is leave any of our missionaries on the field not getting what they need. I mean, we'd sacrifice to that. But it's out there, and that's this whole thing, the way it hits, these missionaries are out there, and churches aren't, meeting and gathering and worshiping through giving and then supporting that can be problematic.
We hadn't really talking about this, Jim, but I'm sure people are curious who are part of our community or listening back home about how this time is affecting the giving at Lakeside. And we talked today, we don't have a full picture yet, but is your sense that we're going to be doing okay financially? Are people continuing to give?
Yeah, people do. It does. I think we're. Let's see,
Jim, Christie's checks in here.
That's right. There you go. Way to go.
Checks in here. Really?
Okay.
This is about to get very interesting here.
Can we give that envelope to Jim?
live
I'm
TV.
scared it's not going to make it.
Weston will edit that. No, but no, people come by. They do it through the Easy Tie. They do it online. They come by. They leave something. They sent it in the mail, and a lot of people do. They're able to do that. But some of them are losing jobs too.
Yeah,
and they're
that's-
fearful, and they're
that's
and that's and so they need to be very careful with that. And so part of one side of this is we're also having less bills. Obviously, we're not running some ministry stuff, and so there's that helps a little bit. And so anyway.
We
Folks
have
are being faithful.
people.
We do.
We have
We have
faithful
good people,
people,
and that's we
all
appreciate
signs
that.
point to us being able to weather this storm and continue to give to all of our missionaries as great works we do. We're going to try to wrap up this episode, and the one thing I would think that we would do is just talk a little bit about how people participate in Belize going forward. What kind of things do we see on the horizon as far as missions and maybe even getting beyond just Belize into some of the local mission opportunities we foresee coming in the future. Can you talk a little bit about maybe One Hope Ministries first, and then maybe we can talk a little bit about some Belize options in a second.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of things that are going on. One Hope is a local ministry that we're getting involved in that works with special needs citizens, and we were kind of in the process of rolling a lot of that out when all this kind of hit. So we're kind of like, we're looking at the possibility of maybe employing some special needs people here at Lakeside. We're looking at some other things, just working with them with some needs, to kind of help their space as they're kind of developing. We have some other things that are coming up in the spring. I'm sure that, all of our ministries are going to, we'll have different projects coming up. As far as going to Belize, I believe that, God can take anyone who has a heart to go, and God will find, your place. And it's amazing, some of the people who went on this last trip, you can tell that that's where God, we had Joan, who's a nurse, and, we have a pretty bad injury happened in Belize. And here we have this Navy nurse who's able to and luckily, I wasn't in charge of first aid, or I wasn't the first aid guy. And so, but we just have it was very unique. We had people in Belize from age 15 to 70 from our church. And I think it's kind of really cool how people find their need. They find, God plugs them in. Something clicks. Joan was also, her and Glenda working with, the people at St. Margaret's, they have a lot of first aid needs. A lot of simple things that we take for granted, like having a clean bandage on your foot, is something that they don't have. And we got familiarized ourselves with Belizean pharmacies and what you can get and what you can't get.
I've been in a few.
Yeah, exactly. So we learned a lot. God had and how does agriculture work in Belize? What do they need to grow? And so if you have an interest in any of that, in Belize, God will find a place for you to be.
We're planning on doing the school supply fundraiser again this year.
Yes.
Probably September-ish. When do we normally do that?
September.
Trying to get it into some shipping crates October, November, so it can be there for kind of Christmas dispersions.
Yeah.
Kind of our thought. Our thought is we may be going back to Belize summer 21.
Summer 21, I think will be our next trip.
We might have the ability to. We talked about Gomer's house and construction. We might have the opportunity to put together a construction crew before that. But that's really just flexible. We just have to see and watch what the Lord does in the coming days and months. So opportunities for people who want to go to Belize, get online, find out a little bit more about it. Talk to one of us, talk to you about how to get involved in that.
Yeah, and also we've one of the things that we have is, in the past 3 years we've done a trip to Delta Streets, which is and there's some incredible things going on up there at Delta Streets in downtown Greenwood. We're working on the school building. They're kind of in a standalone school building now that they have, and it just keeps, like in Belize, every time we go up there, things are getting better and better. And that's what's really encouraging is that, and the school is growing, and they had some great success. Luckily they got their soccer season in and did really well this year. And some really cool things are going on there. So we'll probably definitely do another trip to Delta Streets in Greenwood. So if you don't want to get on a plane and fly, we've got another trip you can go on.
So looking forward to how people can be mission-centered at Lakeside, as we've got some opportunities that are going to come up as soon as we're able to work at One Hope Ministries. There's some construction projects that are scheduled to be there. There's some possibilities to be involved in things at Delta Streets. Some possibility of some mission trips 2021 internationally to Belize again.
Yeah.
So and then there's just being part of some of the drives that we have, such as the school supply drives and others we've done in our church in the last year or two. Well, that's all exciting stuff, and I know we've got more things we want to talk about, but that's it for now. We hope that back home in Facebook world, you guys are staying safe. Guys, this is serious. We want to tell you, we don't want you to have a spirit of fear. We want you to trust in the sovereignty of God, but we do want you to know that you do need to practice social distancing, which no one here likes that word, right? I don't like the word at all, but that's what the government uses, and so we're going to use it as well. Wash your hands. We love you, and we miss you, and hope to connect with you again real soon.